The truth about being missed? You'll only be truly missed when your absence becomes permanent. Not when you're quiet for a day. Not when you stop texting back for a week. No, it's when they realize they can't reach the version of you that moved on. That's when it hits. That's when the silence becomes louder than anything you ever said. That's when you finally become unreachable. And that's the moment they feel the full weight of your absence. But here's the paradox, my friend. They don't miss you when you're crying for them. They don't miss you when you're waiting, hoping, staying loyal, or being patient. They don't miss you when you're available. They miss you the moment you stop needing them. They miss you when you've grown so far beyond their reach that your silence says everything your words never could. Think about that. Your silence becomes more powerful than every message, every call, every plea. Because now, you're not trying to be heard. You're simply gone. Imagine this. You were once like a warm fireplace in someone's cold cabin. Always burning, always there. Even when they weren't sitting beside you, your warmth filled the room. You didn't need to be noticed to be felt. You showed up day after day, giving warmth, giving light, giving love. But then one day, you stopped feeding that fire. No wood, no spark, no flame. And at first, they didn't even notice. Too distracted, too busy, too used to taking your warmth for granted. But as the nights grew colder, as the silence grew thicker, they finally looked around and realized you were the reason the room ever felt alive. It's how it works. People don't always miss you when you leave. They miss you when they finally feel what it's like to live without your energy, without your presence, without your love anchoring their chaos. And by the time they wake up to that reality, you've already moved on. But let's break a lie real quick. If they cared, they would have shown it. Sounds fair, right? But here's the truth. Most people can't handle consistency. They don't appreciate loyalty while it's active. They think love is disposable until it disappears. You were consistent. You were loyal. You gave, you stayed, you showed up. And they thought it would last forever. Because you never left before. Because you always came back. Because your heart was too kind? But here's what they didn't understand. Your presence wasn't guaranteed. Your energy wasn't infinite. Your love wasn't a bottomless well. They mistook something sacred for something standard. You see, but to them, you became routine. Not special, not rare, just there. But not anymore. Because now you've shifted, quietly, powerfully, and suddenly, they're forced to confront a world where you're no longer a text away, no longer an option, no longer orbiting their life with a devotion they never earned. And for the first time, they realize what they lost, the illusion of your permanence. They didn't think you'd ever leave, until you already had. And that's the punch most people don't feel until it's too late. You were so consistent, so available, so forgiving. His presence became a given, not a gift. You became the emotional safety net, the one who replied, even when they didn't deserve a response. The one who stayed, even when the room felt empty. They never questioned whether you'd be there, and that became their biggest mistake. Imagine a lighthouse. Stands tall, unwavering, guiding ships through the darkest nights and roughest waters. It doesn't ask for thanks. It just shines. Until one day, and now the ships, so used to its guidance, crash blindly through the fog, desperate for the light they thought would never go out. My friend, you were that light. Now ask yourself, how many times did you stay when you should have walked away? How often did you make excuses for their silence, their coldness, their inconsistency? And why? Because deep down, a part of you feared what would happen if you stopped showing up. You were afraid they'd forget you, replace you, move on like you never mattered. But let me shatter that fear. Consistency doesn't make you unforgettable. Absence does. People don't miss what's always in front of them. They miss what they can no longer reach. And it's not because they suddenly gained clarity. It's because your departure stripped them of the comfort they once abused. They didn't see your worth when you were there, because they believed you'd never leave. They mistook your loyalty for weakness, your love for naivety, your patience for passivity. But now that you've gone quiet, now that you've pulled back, and they're starting to notice the cracks in their world because your energy is no longer filling the gaps. And that scares them because for the first time, they're realizing you were the one holding everything together. You were the peace. You were the warmth. You were the meaning. And now their mind starts to spiral. Did I push them too far? Are they really gone? What if they move on before I figure it out? But here's the twist. They always thought they had time. Time to ignore. Time to breadcrumb. Time to half love you while keeping their options open. They thought you'd stay stuck in their orbit, spinning like a loyal moon around their ego. But not anymore. Because you woke up, you stopped waiting, and you started choosing yourself. They don't know what to do with this version of you. The one who's silent. The one who doesn't reply. The one who glows without reaching back. And that's when the fear sets in. Not for you, for them. Fear that they'll never find another you. Fear that their window has closed. Fear that you, the one they never imagined letting go, you have finally moved on. And yeah, it's hard, because even now a part of you wonders, did I matter? Was I just a phase? Will they ever understand how deeply I loved them? But listen to me, your value isn't tied to who acknowledges it. You weren't meant to prove your worth to someone too blind to see it. You were meant to grow, to evolve, to rise. So far, it was so bright, so high, that by the time they looked back, you're already gone. Let this be your awakening, not your regret, because the illusion of your permanent equipment, it's shattered, and is the beginning of your freedom. They miss who you became. Let me tell you something important. They don't miss who you were when you begged. They miss who you became when you stopped. And that's where your true power begins. Think about it. When someone walks into an art gallery and sees a beautiful painting, they might glance at it once and move on, distracted by noise, by options, by everything except what's right in front of them. But take that painting away, leave the frame empty, and suddenly, the next time they visit, they stop. They stare. They remember how it made them feel, how unique it was, how it lit something inside of them. That's you. You were the presence they didn't know how to value. But now, you're the void they can't ignore. Because the version of you that stayed, that gave, that waited, they thought that version would always be there. But now they're haunted by the version of you that grew, that healed, that rose in silence, that didn't need to explain or justify. The version of you who walked away not in anger, but in peace. And let me be honest with you, when they realize what they lost, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because life no longer feels the same without your energy. They'll scroll through old messages, rewatch old memories, replay moments in their head, trying to feel what they once ignored. But they can't reach you anymore. Not the real you, not the evolved you. And that's when it finally hits them. You were never just another person. You were their safe space, their constant, their quiet strength. And now, you're gone. Here's the truth. Growth is quiet. Healing is private. Transformation is powerful because it doesn't seek validation. You've done something most people never do. You stopped chasing people who couldn't hold your worth. You stopped pouring into cups that never poured back. You stopped begging for the love you freely gave. And now your silence is speaking louder than your pain ever did. They can't text your new self. They can't guilt their way back into your space. They can't manipulate their way into your peace. Because you've moved on. And when I say moved on, I don't mean you're bitter. I mean you're better. Better because you finally saw yourself, finally chose yourself, finally realized you were the prize all along. And that's the version they'll miss forever. Not the one who waited by the phone, not the one who cried alone at night, not the one who hoped they'd change. They'll miss the version of you who found peace without their presence, the version who stopped needing permission to feel worthy. So if you're sitting there wondering, will they ever realize what they lost? Will they ever miss me? Yes, they will, but not the version of you who chased. They'll miss the version who became too powerful to be ignored, too healed to be reached, too elevated to return to what broke you. And by then, you'll be too focused on your future to look back at what you left behind. So don't wait for their regret. Don't wait for their apology. Don't wait for their validation. You don't need it. You're already becoming everything they never thought you'd have the strength to be. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of everything they took for granted. And now, you're done explaining yourself. The power of walking away. There's something deeply powerful about the moment you decide to walk away. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of peace. Because that's the moment everything changes. Not for them, for you. Just stop checking your phone. Stop rehearsing conversations in your head. Stop wondering if they'll come back, or if they ever really cared. You stop living in a waiting room, hoping for someone else to choose you. Instead, you choose yourself. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. There are days when it still hurts. Nights when your mind replays every memory, every almost, every what if. But over time, the silence that used to echo with pain starts to feel like peace. That ache in your chest, it becomes a reminder, not of what you lost, but of what you survived. Because the truth is, they didn't break you. They revealed you. They showed you your limits, your patterns, your boundaries, or lack of them. And now, you're not walking away empty. You're walking away wiser, stronger, clearer. See, people think power is loud. It's not. Power is walking away quietly with your dignity intact. It's not needing to be understood. It's not explaining your worth. It's realizing you were never hard to love. You were just trying to be loved by someone who wasn't ready. Let that sink in. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. And now that you've walked away, you're no longer asking. You're choosing. You're choosing peace over chaos, healing over history, growth over guilt. You're no longer the version of yourself that begged to be seen. You are the version that sees yourself fully, clearly, proudly, and they'll feel it, even if they never say it. They'll feel the shift in your energy. They'll notice the absence of your light. They'll hear the silence where your love used to speak. But by then, you won't be waiting to hear from them. You'll be building something new, something beautiful, something that doesn't require you to shrink just to be enough. Let me remind you of something. Walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing when enough is enough. It's choosing growth even when it hurts. It's finally realizing that you can't save someone who refuses to meet you halfway. So take a deep breath, hold your head high, and know this. You didn't lose them. They lost you. They lost the version of you who tried, who stayed, who believed. They lost the heart that would have done anything to make it work. And you gained yourself. You gained clarity. You gained freedom. You gained the chance to rebuild with people who see your value from the beginning, not in your absence. So don't go back, not out of loneliness, not out of nostalgia, not because they finally realized what they had, because by the time they do, you'll be far ahead, not just moved on, but leveled up, your moment to rise. This is your moment, not for revenge, not for validation, but for yourself. The strongest comeback isn't loud, it's silent. It's when your energy shifts, when your focus returns, when you realize you were never the one lacking, you were just giving to the wrong hands. You see, most people don't realize your value until it's too late. They take your loyalty for granted. They mistake your patience for weakness. They assume your presence will never fade. But now, you've moved on. And by moving on, you've created space for growth, for peace, for purpose. The version of you they knew is gone. The one who waited, the one who begged, the one who stayed, because you understood something important. They'll only truly miss you when your absence becomes permanent, when they can't reach the version of you that moved on. That's the paradox. They don't miss you when you cry for them. They don't miss you when you wait. They don't miss you when you stay available. They miss you the moment you stop needing them, when you've grown so far beyond their reach. Your silence says everything your words never could. Imagine this. You were once like a warm fireplace in someone's cold cabin. Always burning, always there. Even when they didn't sit beside you, your warmth still filled the room. But the day you stopped feeding that fire, something changed. At first, they didn't notice the chill. They were too distracted, too busy taking your warmth for granted. But as the nights grew colder and the fire stayed dark, they realized you were the reason the room felt alive. That's how it works. People don't always miss you when you leave. They miss you when they finally feel what it's like to live without your energy. And by then, you'll be too focused on your growth, your peace, your purpose to even care. So write this in the comments to seal it in your soul. I've moved on. Say it, show it, believe it. If this hit home, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me because today, we're not just letting go. We're leveling up. We're moving forward. We're done waiting. I've moved on. This is your moment to rise. Beyond moving on, embracing your new beginning. Now that you've moved on, this is where your real journey begins. Moving on isn't the finish line. It's the starting point for everything you're meant to become. You're no longer tied down by the weight of what was. No longer defined by the people who didn't see your value. No longer stuck in the stories that held you back. Instead, you're free to rewrite your story on your terms. Free to build a life that honors your worth. Free to surround yourself with those who celebrate your life. Growth isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It challenges every part of you. But it's the only way forward. Remember this. Your past doesn't control your future. Your pain doesn't limit your potential. Your silence, it's power. You are the artist of your life, the creator of your happiness, the author of your legacy. So don't rush the process. Embrace every lesson, every struggle, every victory, because they're all shaping the person you're becoming. And when they look back and wonder what they lost, you'll be too busy living a life they never imagined. A life full of peace, purpose, power. This is your new beginning. Own it. Live it. Rise into it, because the best is yet to come. Part 7. Owning your future. The journey never ends. Moving on was just the first step. Now the real work begins. Owning your future. You've let go of what held you back. You've reclaimed your power. But growth isn't a destination, it's a journey. Every day you have a choice. To rise or to retreat. To build or to break. To love yourself more or doubt your worth again. It's not always easy. Some days the old voices will try to creep in. The ones that say you're not enough. The ones that remind you of past mistakes. The ones that whisper, maybe you should go back. But remember this, you are stronger than those voices. Your past does not define you. Your scars are proof of survival, not failure. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep setting boundaries. Keep choosing peace over chaos. Keep nurturing the fire that no one else could. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher, not those who dim your light to make themselves feel better. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Every step forward is a victory. Every moment you choose yourself is a win. And when doubt tries to knock, remember why you started. Remember the power in your silence. Remember that you moved on for a reason. The journey never ends, because you're always becoming more resilient, more confident, more live. So, own your future. Build it with intention. Live it with purpose. Because this life, your life, is yours to create. And it's waiting for you to show up fully. No looking back. No second guessing. Gift forward. Always forward. The man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Napoleon Hill. Most people don't fail because they're unlucky. They fail because they never trained the one thing that controls it all, the mind. So, if you've been blaming luck, timing, or circumstances, stop. That's the lie they sold you, and today we're burning it down. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe if you're ready to become a magnet for abundance. Because this, my friends, is where everything changes. Hey folks, imagine your mind is like a radio tower. If it's tuned to scarcity, broadcast fear, but tune it to abundance. Suddenly wealth hears you loud and clear. It's not magic, it's mental frequency. Most are walking around like foggy compasses, reacting, drifting, but not you. Not anymore. You're here to rewire your reality. Stay with me, because from this moment forward, you're rewriting the code. Say it loud, drop it in the comments. I am wealth. Number 1, the lie they sold you about wealth. If you believe you are right, you have no need to convince others. If you are truly wealthy in mind, the world will catch up. Napoleon Hill. Let's break something wide open today, my friends. The idea that wealth is for the lucky is pure fiction. It's one of the oldest lies society has ever whispered into your ear. He's just lucky. She was born into it. They had connections. And so we walk through life believing the gate to abundance is guarded by others, when in truth the gate has been sitting inside your own mind this whole time. Imagine you were handed a treasure map at birth, but instead of the X marking gold, it was scribbled over with phrases like, "That's not for people like us," or "Money is evil," or "Stay humble, don't want too much." So here you are, map in hand, but blindfolded by beliefs that were never even yours to begin with. And worse, most people never even question the map. They just walk in circles. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why do I feel guilt thinking about getting rich? Why do I shrink when someone talks about big dreams? Why do I think wealth is for them and not me? These are not your natural thoughts. These are hand-me-down mental viruses passed from generation to generation, dressed up humility but soaked in fear. Let's call it what it is, mental slavery. That's right, not the kind you can see with chains, but the kind that sits quietly behind your eyes, whispering, "Be." Feels realistic every time your soul dares to dream. Now here's a truth most won't tell you, because if everyone knew it, the system would collapse. Wealth does not come to the smartest. It does not come to the most talented. It comes to those who dare to believe it's already theirs. That's the real revolution. The shift isn't in your bank account, it's in your brain. Because when you truly train your mind to believe, act, and think like someone who owns the outcome begins to chase you. But let's be real, it won't feel natural at first. Rather like a familiar fantasy. Home, Los Angeles, rendezvous. Rewiring decades of fear, failure, and limitation. It's like trying to steer a ship that's been drifting for years with the current. The second you grab the wheel, the storm hits, doubt screams, old habits rise, friends roll their eyes, your own voice will try to betray you, and in that moment, most people let go. They release the wheel and say, "See, I knew it wasn't for me, but not you. Not this time." You're grabbing that wheel and turning it with conviction because now you understand the game. It was never about luck. It was about mental authority. And the person with authority over their mind, that person becomes magnetic to opportunities others can't even see. Listen to me. Your environment has been training you to stay small every time. You said, "I can't afford that." Every time someone told you to be realistic, every time you saw someone win, and secretly felt bitterness instead of inspiration. You were being programmed, not by your choice, but by default. But now you're here and you're seeing the wires for what they are, and you're about to pull the whole system down and replace it with something stronger, something clearer, something that actually serves your vision. You are not your past. You are not your upbringing. You are not your failures. You are the one writing the code from this moment forward, and guess what? You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to build something big. You're allowed to rise. Because wealth, true wealth, isn't just about money. It's about freedom. Freedom to move how you want, create what you want, give how you want. And that kind of freedom doesn't start in a vault. It starts in your voice. The voice that says, "I deserve more, not because I'm entitled, but because I'm ready to serve at a higher level." So let me ask you this. Are you still believing the lie? Are you still giving power to that inner script that tells you abundance isn't meant for you? Or are you ready to destroy that narrative and replace it with something unshakable? Because this is your turn point. This is your permission slip, not from the world, but from yourself. Right here, right now, in this moment, you get to become the person who says, "I will not be defined by scarcity. I will not inherit their limitations. I choose abundance. I choose wealth. I choose to train my mind and command my future." Say it with me, type it in the comments. and show the world you're stepping out of the lie. I am rewriting my mind. Number 2. Thoughts are things. So, what are you thinking? Whatever you hold in your mind on a consistent basis is exactly what you will experience in your life. Let's go deeper, my friends. You see, most people walk through life thinking thoughts are just random clouds floating by, harmless, passing, forgettable. But here's the truth. They never told you in school, never whispered at your job, never dared to preach at the dinner table. Your thoughts are things real, tangible, measurable. They are the architects of your reality. They are the ink with which you write the blueprint of your future. Imagine your mind as a 3D printer. Whatever thought you upload into it with repetition and emotion, it starts printing. It doesn't care if the blueprint is broken. It doesn't care if the design is flawed. It just prints what you feed it. So if you've been wondering why your life feels like a cycle of the same problems, same paycheck, same stress on repeat, it's because your mind has been printing the same file every day. Here's the wild part. Most people don't even know they're doing it. They wake up and before they've even brushed their teeth, their mind is already replaying a tired, negative loop. I'm tired. I'm broke. This always happens to me. They rehearse scarcity. They rehearse defeat. They feed the software of lack and then look confused when life delivers exactly that. Let me ask you, something raw and real, what is your dominant thought? The one that's been playing like a background soundtrack in your mind. Is it, I can create something massive, or is it, I'll never get ahead? Is it, I'm a builder, or is it, I'm stuck? Because whether you admit it or not, your mind is loyal to that thought. It's working day and night to turn that belief into your reality. That's the brutal part and the beautiful part. Because once you become aware of this, everything changes. You stop thinking by default. You start thinking by design, and that's when you go from drifting to building. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who believed he could light up the entire world. People laughed at him. They called him crazy, said it was impossible. That man was Thomas Edison. 10,000 failures. But he kept going, not because of motivation, not because of luck, but because he had uploaded a thought so clearly into his mind that reality had no choice but to surrender. He saw the light before it ever existed. And that is the power of thought, when it's held with belief, discipline, and purpose. But here's the trap. The mind doesn't just respond to what you say once, it responds to what you say repeatedly, what you emotionally reinforce. That's why doubt is so dangerous. Every time you say, I can't, even as a joke, even with a laugh, your subconscious takes notes. It does not know sarcasm. It only knows command. Every command creates wiring. You are literally building mental highways that become habits.